Hello everyone and welcome to another beautiful game from round 6 of this year's FIDE Grand Swiss. It is Uzbek Grandmaster Shamsiddin Vokhidov versus Hans Niemann, and it's a pretty awesome game. FIDE even proclaimed it the best game of round 6 on their X channel, and I don't know if I agree with that, but it is a really a fine game, a fighting game, if you will. And Hans's opponent here is Shamsiddin Vokhidov, who we've covered on the channel quite a few times. If you remember, in 2022 he played board 4 for Uzbekistan in the Olympiad, and he won individual gold. And he has some other achievements as well. He's the under in 2015, I think he was the under 14 world champion. Also won the Asian Championship, the Asian Hybrid Championship, and in 2018, I think he defeated Magnus Carlsen in the World Rapid Championship. So, yeah, obviously a very strong player, closing in on 2,700. I don't think he ever crossed 2,700, but he was very close. This is not his highest rating, and both of them are having a nice tournament. I say nice as they're undefeated, both of them, but they only have one win. So Shamsiddin Vokhidov defeated Divya Deshmukh in round 5. He started off with 4 draws, and Hans. Perhaps he had maybe tougher opponents. He faced Sargsyan, Cheparinov, Rasmus Svane. He defeated Svane, Mendonca, and Anton Demchenko. So 4 draws and a win against Svane. So yeah, whoever wins this could be propelled not maybe in the top 10, but definitely within the top 20. And with this only being round 6, it's still a good place to be if you want to win the tournament or even just to grab a spot in the candidates tournament. So let's check it out. Shamsiddin with white opens with knight to f3. Sorry, not knight to f3, with pawn to e4. He just plays normal stuff. Hans goes for pawn to c5, saying he wants to fight, and young players playing the Sicilian. Obviously, we are heading into a Najdorf. We have knight to f3, d6, pawn to d4, captures, knight f6, knight to c3, and a6. The Najdorf Sicilian is on the board, and you guys know what I always say about the Najdorf. Here we have bishop to e3. This is the English attack against the Najdorf, or the Byrne attack. We have pawn to e5, knight b3, and bishop to e6. So they're going into the main line. Pawn to f3, and now there are a couple of moves that are popular here. Bishop e7, knight b d7, h5. Hans goes for the third most popular, but at this level, I mean, you can see the clock times. They're blitzing out moves. We have queen to d2, bishop to e7, and now again you could castle, you could go bishop to e2, knight d5. Those are all very nice moves for white. Shamsiddin goes for knight d5, Hans trades. We have captures, and bishop to f5. We have bishop to e2, and again some people prefer a5, some knight d7. Hans goes for bishop to h4 check, trying to get g3 to be played. So g3, bishop to e7, and now again, castles is a known move. Castles kingside is a known move. Bishop to d3, offering to trade bishops, is a known move. Here we have pawn to h4 by Shamsiddin, and it is now as of move 14 that we have a completely new game. And okay, Shamsiddin did burn some time. Hans on an hour and 35 minutes, he just goes knight to d7, and he does spend some 4 minutes on this move. So yeah, okay, pawn to h4 being a new position. Or we can say that they're both out of theory now. We have castles queenside, and Hans just castles kingside, spending some 12 minutes on this move. Bishop to d3, offering to trade off Hans' strong light square bishop for the bishop on e2 that wasn't really doing all that much. Hans trades. We have captures, and pawn to f5. And you can be very happy with both white and black here. Black has the nice central control, the semi-open c-file to attack the white king. White, on the other hand, has a very nice control of c6 and e6, and a potential for pawn to g4 breakthrough and an attack against the black king. And Shamsiddin does not waste time with some prophylactic king b1, pawn to g4 right away. Okay, we have pawn to e4. Hans strikes back in the center. As they say, a best counter to a flank attack is a central breakthrough. And we have queen to d2. Of course, captures is terrible, as it will be faced with knight e5, attacks the queen, and once the queen moves, pawn to f4. Once the bishop moves, h captures and g4. And with these two connected past pawns, this is pretty much a game over. So after e4, we have queen to d2, knight e5 by Hans, now going after the f3 pawn. And now, while you could capture on e4, again, knight f3 will land. Then after, let's say, queen g2, f captures and g4. Now you have the passed g pawn, the monster knight on f3. So yeah, not the best. So Shamsiddin tries G captures on f5, and Hans doesn't go knight captures on f3, which would give him an excellent knight and a pass pawn on e4. No, Hans prefers a pass pawn on f3 and a very, very good knight on e5. Okay, knight d4, going after that e6 square, and Hans just moves out of the way. Queen to d7, and now you could throw in a knight e6 right away, but it doesn't really do all that much. Hans just moves the rook. So here we have bishop to g5 and rook 8 to e8, just defending the bishop. Maybe rook to c8, going after the white king is the way to go, but Hans has a different idea. Shamsiddin counters it with queen to f4, and now bishop captures on g5. And I think, everyone, including their uncle, plays h captures on g5 here, but no, Shamsiddin goes queen captures on g5. And the engine says that both are of equal value. I don't know, to me, to my barbarian style, h captures on g5 seems like the way to go, but he prefers to have a firm grasp on the e6 square, the potential of f6, and having the g file open, or rather semi-open, so you can use it for the rook as well. Okay, rook f6 by Hans, we have queen captures on h5, and now rook e to f8, doubling up on the f file, but the knight on d4 does an excellent job of defending that pawn. And now you could just trade and something like captures, let's say knight captures, queen captures, rook captures on f5, and okay, the queen moves. White is up a pawn and has a safer king, and white objectively is better, but I think Hans considers himself the better player, and he is almost 100 points higher rated, and he would very much like to play this and try and outplay his opponent here. He does have the semi-open c file. He's going to start pushing those pawns, and I guess just try to outplay your opponent from a seemingly maybe a bit worse position. But after rook e to f8, we have queen to g5, and now Hans gets this idea that okay, he doesn't need to play this safe. He could play pawn to f2. It's a perfectly fine move, but he plays rook captures on f5, and he sacrifices the exchange. We have knight captures, rook captures, kicks away the queen, and now queen g3. Already perhaps a suboptimal move. Queen e3. But it's a crazy position, because the idea is that Hans is planning queen to a4, of course, and you want to counter that with b3. You allow queen captures on a2 and then queen c3, and then you stop everything that black was planning on the queen side, and now you focus on the f2 pawn, and you start advancing the h pawn. But in the game, queen g3 was played by Shamsiddin. Hans goes queen to a4, attacks the pawn here, and now pawn to a3. Pawn to f2 by Hans, and now the position is a critical one. Hans is better here, and white could maybe survive with something like pawn to h5, pawn to h6, and probably forced would be queen e4, and after pawn to h6, pawn to g5. Looks crazy, but black can allow this, and now you just focus on the attack and on the f2 passed pawn. But after pawn to f2, we have rook h to f1, and now Hans goes for the attack. We have rook f3, queen to g5, and now knight to g4, with all sorts of threats, the most obvious one being knight to e3, and it's hard to say how to deal with this. Even with the engine best queen d2, knight e3, for example, rook captures on f2, rook captures on f2, queen captures on f2, knight captures on d1, king captures. You can play like this, and this is now an equal position. But even after that, after queen d2, Hans doesn't have to go for the immediate knight e3. He could just go back, queen to e8, and just enjoy a very nice position where he is still much better, most likely winning. But in the game, rook to d3 was played, which makes Hans's life even easier, but it's not a simple position. The question is, what would you play here? Feel free to pause the video and win the game while I give you a couple of seconds. The only move that gives you a clean win, believe it or not, is queen to e4. And that's what I always say. When I ask you to pause the video, always check for pawn to b4, and always check for a centralizing move with the queen, or a queen sacrifice, or maybe even a centralizing move with the queen that is a queen sacrifice. And those are, most obvious choices. And the problem here is now, if you play, let's say you just play rook captures on f3, the immediate threat is queen to e1 check, and there's nothing you can do. You have to capture, and then captures leads to checkmate. So here, after queen to e4, we have queen to d2, And now Hans goes back, rook to f5, but not to go back, simply to avoid an unnecessary trade, and now he's threatening queen to g2, and there's very little you can do about it. Let's say you try to play king b1. Okay, you try to get the king off of the back rank, still queen g2, and after queen e2, there's this nasty rook e5 move. And now after queen to d1, it seems like everything is defended, but hello, queen captures on f1. That's just disgusting. Queen captures, rook to e1 check, and now look at this. Rook d1 seems like, okay, you're going to give up the queen, but you will have a rook versus a knight. No, rook captures on d1 check, queen captures, and now knight to e3. That is, I mean, just beautiful. And after queen to h5, now just you bring a queen into the game, the king goes away, and now you can either give a check and, you know, do some damage here, or you can just block perpetual here, as white is threatening a perpetual, and you enjoy this game being up a full night. So after rook f5, that doesn't work, obviously. Rook h3 was played, but Hans still throws in a queen g2, and now we have rook h to h1, stopping any nasty threats here. But there is one, perhaps the nastiest, which you guys will now find. Feel free to pause the video and win the game for Hans while I give you a couple of seconds. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on winning a game that FIDE proclaimed to be the best game of round 6. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is queen captures on h1. This is what Hans played, and he was in this position on move 35 that Shamsiddin Vokhidov resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. And it's, again, beautiful. Look at this. Rook captures on h1. F1 queen, and now you can either capture, and then after rook captures, the queen has to block, you pick up the queen and you're up a full knight, or queen to d1, and now look at this, knight e3. You even have time for that. This knight is just a magnificent steed. Rook captures on f1, rook captures on f1, and now once you capture, knight captures, and you're just up a full knight. Yes, white is up a pawn, but a knight is, you know, much nicer than a pawn. So yeah, brilliant stuff by Hans, winning with black like this. This is a quote from the previous video, but I decided to leave it as, you know, playing such fighting chess. What else are we going to do than a Bobby Fischer quote? And for those of you who maybe missed the previous video, do check it out. But also here are the standings after round 6 has been played. Today is a rest day, so no chess today. We're going to cover some of the games that we've missed. So again, use that hashtag suggestion. And these are the standings. So leader with 5 points in sole first place, Parham Maksudlu. Then with 4.5, we have Abhimanyu Mishra, Arjun Erigaisi, Matthias Blubam, Anish Giri, Nihal Sarin. Those are with 4.5 points. Then with 4 points, Yaus Khan Erdomus, Marc-Andrea Maurizi, Pranav, Maxim Rothstein, Alireza Firuj, Jashan Sargisyan, Nodribek Abdusatov, Amin Tabatabai, Vincent Keimer, Shahriar Mamedyarov, Nicolas Theodoru after defeating world champion Gukesh. I mean, what a game. Also jumps up to number 17. Hans Niemann also now with 4 points on 18. Vidit Gujarati, Joran Van Forest, Nodribek Akubuev, Ivan Chaparinov, Abhimanyu Puranik, Leon Luke Mendonca, Alexei Shirov, Shimon Gumularz, Mateusz Bartel, Andy Woodward, Cristobal Enriquez, and Nikita Vityugov, and so on, and so on. You know, it's still very early to tell, but Parham really has good chances of qualifying for the candidates. But still, 3 more rounds, and now he will face, you know, the 3 players, not just the highest rated ones, but also that are doing incredibly well after 6 rounds in the tournament. So we're gonna have some incredible games, and I expect, you know, nothing but chaos from Parham. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, use that hashtag suggestion. I would like to thank Christian Fischer, Carmen Polifronio, Austin Wheeler, Ali Urukoglu, and Joseph McCardle for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of this wonderful tournament until it finishes. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And if you want to learn how to play against the Najdorf, first link in the description below. Download Lotus Chess, learn how to play fighting chess, and you know, arm yourself with incredible weapons. See you soon.